Center stage, everybody. That's Jerry Jones. You know him. I'm Michael Kay. Jerry, the triplets. I mean, they really were what you built your team around. Michael Irvin, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith. And then you come to 1992 with the triplets and all the talent you have around them. Did you realize at that point, when you got off to a great start that season, we could win a Super Bowl this year?
Yes. They had a common thread, each of them. And the common thread was you had to worry about Michael Irvin overworking himself in what we call two-a-days, where a team will practice twice a day, usually in the heat, in the early fall, summer. You would have to worry about Michael Irvin. He'd go down there on the lunch break, and you'd see him running with his pads on, in between the practices down there. Michael would challenge anybody when he walked on the field and say, okay, who is going to outwork me today? And many of them knew he had just walked through the door, been up all night.
Yeah, that's what I heard. He'd come in at 6 in the morning.
Who's going to outwork me today? And nobody could. Aikman, so intense and so focused, and provided such a framework of competitiveness. And Emmitt had his goals, and they were clearly spelled out. I know they're written somewhere about how he was going to be the rushing champion. Emmitt came in, and initially he wasn't into the off-season, the strengthening and conditioning that you might have. He was certainly such a natural player. But then somebody, and he listened, said, if you will do all that work on the off-season and you will take that care, you might be able to play 13 seasons in the NFL, and that may be your ticket to being the greatest rushing champion of all. But those guys now, they apart from their skills, they were really driven and motivated, and then, like so often happens, they got caught up in it. And they had some success, had some good things happen, and then the natural human thing takes over, and then all of a sudden, you're into it yourself, you're into it mentally, and then you're different. You're different. And I'd say that about all three of those guys. And they motivated the players that were around them.
Isn't it true that you had to talk Jimmy out of Jimmy like Steve Walsh, and you had to say, hey, Troy Aikman is our quarterback?
Well, I think that Jimmy recognized that Troy had the most talent. Steve Walsh ran the system that Jimmy had success with.
At Miami.
And I'll never forget, when we traded Steve, Jimmy said, well, we're keeping the best quarterback, but our best chance to have won the Super Bowl was with Steve, because Steve could work that system real good. But there was never any doubt that Troy was the superior talent. And what we had done, of course, was draft 2 quarterbacks with our #1 picks. I wouldn't advise that again. Not the same age. Not the same age. It really did. It created issues that are natural when you think about them. It's different when you got quarterbacks that are several years apart. But that created certain issues, and it wasn't as clever in practice as it looked like. You thought, well, we'd see which is the best one, and we'd trade the other and get more draft picks, and here we go. Sounds pretty, but it wasn't quite that easy. But Steve did have it down. He was very cerebral. He really understood what the coaches wanted to do in the system. But now Troy with those 25 and 30-yard handoffs that were just there, just almost wherever you wanted to put them. Now he really was special, and Troy would not turn that ball over. He protected that ball so well and put it in spots that just you were shocked when he had an interception, and was so meaningful in those championships.
That first championship year, you go 13-3. You play the Bills in the Super Bowl, kind of wax them. You win the Super Bowl. Are you thinking to yourself, I'm vindicated? Everybody who's criticized me with the Landry stuff, bringing in Johnson, this vindicates me. I'm on the top of the mountain.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, naive. Real naive. Real naive. That's the way it ought to be, though. It certainly and shouldn't give you too much collateral to go too far. Candidly, after our 3 Super Bowls that we won, and then Troy Aikman finished his career, I thought we had the benefit of the doubt, collateral built up, the goodwill built up, everything built up, that then in trying to find us another quarterback, that we basically could take some risks and maybe not use a number one and make those kind of commitments that you have to do when you go to the top of the draft. So we would try to get it done in a different way. Now, Romo, I guess that's what I was thinking, a guy that is a free agent come in and be an outstanding coach. Isn't realistic, really. And so during that period of time, for several years, we had Dave Campo was our coach. We really had Chan Gailey. And then, of course, Bill Parcells. But during that time, in all fairness, they were working with a short stick. And they were working with us trying to get the quarterback in shape at that level. And I wouldn't do that again. I wouldn't lay it all out there like that. It's too high price to pay. Those seasons are too precious. And we're just having a little stockholder meeting here and figure out how to do this thing on a going forward basis. But I'd work a little harder at trying to be a little more conservative at getting our quarterback in.